Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Chair. Minister, you're very welcome here to the Oireachtas, to the committee, today. And thank you for your kind words for the families in Donegal as well at the start of your opening statement. Very much appreciated. The Minister, you'll be very aware, obviously, school transport has been a major issue for me, particularly in the East Galway area. I suppose my question really, if you don't mind, and apologies if you've given it already, but what is the number of tickets that have been issued now to date? Do we have a total number for that? I've been dealing with the Galway regional manager there, and again, huge challenges with capacity. It's going out to an internal panel. How are we going to make it more attractive for those contractors to provide those services? I know there's 10 million extra in the fuel allowance. Is there anything else, I suppose, around that? And just if you have any other comments around this, I know that you have been doing a lot of work. I know there's been a budget allocated, Minister, which is very appreciated, but even today I'm dealing with mothers under immense stress who still have no acknowledgement or communication about the potential timeline for when they may see a ticket under the concessionary side of things.
Senator, I want to be fair to the Minister now, and there is a set agenda.
Oh, yes,
School transport is not on it, but
I understand.
If the Minister wants to give you a brief reply, I'm not going to stop her.
I took the lead from my colleague beside me. So.
But I was going to stop Senator Byrne, but as a constituent colleague, he delved off it very easily, so he did. So
I was complimenting how the Minister addressed it. So.
Thanks. I'm going to be requesting an additional minute now as well from. But I do. It is. I think the Minister is aware that it is an issue that is quite important to me as well in my area. Just in terms of just the items in your opening statement, Minister, just around the senior cycle reform, I suppose, what do you see maybe for this September? I know there was a number of issues or a number of initiatives that you took last September. Just on the bullying elements here, tackling bullying, I know you've mentioned you're going to be looking at the sort of expert report that's coming in, but also I suppose our own committee's report here on tackling bullying, I suppose just the recommendations on that. Just for the numbers of teachers been allocated and the reduction of the numbers, that's absolutely fantastic to see the reduction in the teacher pupil number at national level. I suppose the 20 million fund for the school libraries, again, very, very welcome, Minister. The literacy, numeracy, digital literacy programme, just on the school books, I think you mentioned 540,000 students. I just wanted to ask, is that the total number of students at primary school level? Just to clarify that's all the students that are receiving that. And then I suppose just some of the questions I know that we just had here, just in relation to the State Examinations Commission. I suppose it was just around the Leaving Cert reform, where students would be sitting papers 1 in English and English at the end of 5th year. I think there was just a little bit of concern around that, and I suppose the committee here, had a recommendation about undertaking some of those assignments across both 5th year and Leaving Cert. And I suppose the final question here then is just in relation to the digital library service. Is it possible, I don't know, is it possible for additional schools to join this service, or is it at maximum capacity? I suppose it would be really good to, just have your comments on that if possible. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Senator. Just in terms of the school transport, because I appreciate, and I absolutely do appreciate the difficulties, that this poses for many. But I do want to say that in the first instance, the waiving of school transport fees was in respect of those who met the criteria. I think it's important to say that. And everybody knows the criteria now, and perhaps not knowing in advance, but the criteria: 3.2 kilometres from your nearest primary school, 4.8 from your next nearest post-primary school. Those that met that criteria, they're being satisfied and provided for. There has always been an issue of concessionaries, though. So, for example, in previous years where there was additional capacity, concessionary tickets were provided for. That's also happening this year, and there is 28%, approximately 27-28% increase in the number of concessionaries who are gaining tickets this year, an 18% increase actually in those who are eligible in the first instance. At this point, 126,000 tickets have been issued. That's at this point compared to 103,000 tickets last year. Additional funding, as you're aware, has been secured via the budget, where we are now looking to satisfy those who were in receipt of concessionary tickets last year, who applied on time and where there's capacity. So we are working through that, and we are, notwithstanding that in some areas, and I will absolutely concede this, there are difficulties either in obtaining buses or bus drivers or vice versa, and some areas are more challenged than others, and I appreciate that, from your point of view there, Senator, as well. But considerable progress has been made here. And again, just to say, those that met the criteria have been successful, and a 28% increase in those who are concessionaries, as in previous years. Just specifically in terms of some of the other issues that you raise in terms of senior cycle, we are progressing with senior cycle. Some of the, I suppose, elements that we already see of senior cycle in operation. So, for example, the Leaving Certificate vocational programme, heretofore, students had to avail of certain types of subjects, very much so in the business sphere, to be eligible to avail of LCVP. That criteria no longer is provided for. It's open to all students to access it. Equally so, the Leaving Certificate Applied programme and the Leaving Certificate Established, or the traditional Leaving Certificate programme, they stood independent of one another, and I can see myself, and I know many here are aware of the fact that it has opportunities to impact negatively on career choices for students. So from this year, students who are studying Leaving Certificate Applied had the option of taking, for example, maths from the Leaving Certificate Established programme. Other works that I referenced earlier include the development work that's already in the public consultation around the development of the new 2 subjects, film, theatre and drama, and climate action and business. That's out there, the public consultation to conclude at the end of the month. The Network Schools programme, there has been some significant interest from some schools, and we're taking the opportunity then to promote it to all schools, or a more formal, I suppose, promotion of that for schools who might wish to avail of it. And of course then we're looking at other elements, again embedded in the senior cycle aspect, would be the orals and the music at Easter time, outside of school time, as it were, and again a review on how it operated last year with a view to seeing how we can embed that going forward. In terms of the bullying and the work of the bullying, I want to acknowledge the work of Dr. Noel Purdy, as I said initially, who is chairing this group, the steering group, and he's up Stranmillis University, Antrim. I absolutely want to acknowledge that this review of the 2013 action plan is a significant one, and I absolutely acknowledge the impressive and significant body of work that this committee has done, and it is very much so intrinsic in the work of the steering committee. In fact, a presentation was made to the steering committee on all of the work that you identified and the issues that you identified. Equally so, there's a very significant, I suppose, membership of the steering group, which includes James O'Higgins Noonan of the UNESCO chair at DCU. I know, for example, some of the key points that and I don't wish in any way to prejudice the outcome of the steering committee, but I know, for example, one of the key issues that you have raised here was around the rollout of the FUSE programme, and that it would be, and I want to say that is something that would be very close to my own heart as well. And
Thank you. That's good
and
to
I would hope, and I know that is being considered. That's all I can say to you at this point. There has been considerable consultation as part of the steering group as well, and I want to say I had the opportunity myself to attend some of those consultations, particularly with the young people, and they were absolutely just uplifting, informative, inclusive, children of all backgrounds, children from special education background, children traveller and Roma background, mainstream schools. It was just the richest of engagement, but the information that was provided by the students, I would say, was expert in the manner which was provided by them, and I want to acknowledge that. There's engagement also with international experts, and the work is ongoing. So I look forward to it, and I want to acknowledge that your work here is very much intrinsic to it. In terms of the State Examinations Commission and the Leaving Certificate Reform and Paper 1, in terms of English and Irish at the end of 5th year, again, as I'd referenced earlier, the singular impetus for that is, embedding student wellbeing into the experience of senior cycle. Students themselves have been very exercised and very engaged around the topic of spreading the assessment load for them. We already see it operate at Leaving Certificate Applied level, where there is opportunities in 5th year, and it is for that reason that we are looking at the paper 1s being made available to students at the end of 5th year, and a body of work in making that operational is underway, but it is very much so student-centred and student wellbeing centred.
Okay, Minister, I will have to cut you off. We're gone well beyond the 6 minutes. So.
Sorry.